The war chamber hummed with the low-frequency vibrations of Zapirian battle hymns, the sound resonating through the hexagonal obsidian walls like the growl of a caged beast. High Commander Vexer stood at the central holodisplay, his clawed fingers tracing the glowing borders of the latest conquests. The red tactical lights cast jagged shadows across his armored face, the black carapace of his battle plates absorbing the glow like a black hole devouring stars. Another cycle, another world to crush beneath our might, Vexer rumbled, his voice like grinding tectonic plates. The holographic star map shifted at his command, zooming in on a blue-green world orbiting a yellow sun. But this one will be a mercy-killing. Junior tactician Crix adjusted his data. Slate, the bioluminescent veins in his forearms pulsing with hesitation. High Commander, the preliminary scans of Earth show. Show what? Vexer interrupted, slamming a fist onto the holotable. The image of Earth shattered into pixels before reforming. Fractured nations, primitive combustion engines. They haven't even achieved proper FTL. Their greatest wars were fought over patches of dirt and imaginary lines. He sneered, revealing rows of serrated teeth. Pathetic. Across the chamber, Sub-Commander Zeltrak shifted her weight, her tail flicking in agitation. With respect, High Commander, their history shows remarkable adaptability. Their world wars were fought with chemical explosives and crude radiation weapons. Vexer snapped. We've glassed civilizations that made art from antimatter. Earth is a backwater, nothing more. He clenched his fist around the holographic Earth, the projection distorting under his grip. The Galactic Federation trembles at our approach, yet these Sofkins still bicker over resources like hatchlings fighting for scraps. Crick's mandibles twitched. Their orbital defenses are non-existent, Vexer finished. A few primitive satellites, a handful of tin cans they call warships, the USN Defiance. He barked a laugh, the sound like shattering glass. Their flagship's armor wouldn't withstand our shuttle's particle scrubbers. A murmur rippled through the assembled officers. Zeltrak's frill darkened to a cautious violet. The Vorak archives mention. The Vorak are dead, Vexer snarled. Their warnings are the ramblings of a corpse. Empire sleeping giants. He spat the phrase like a curse. Humans are insects, and insects get crushed. The holodisplay flickered, shifting to tactical overlays of Earth's major cities. Vexer traced a claw over Sydney's coastline. Well, start here. A single barrage from the Worldbreaker's primary cannons. Let them see what real power looks like before we... High Commander! A comms officer burst into the chamber, his carapace slick with alarm. Sweat. The Vorak data. Crypt. It's activated on its own. Silence fell like a guillotine. Vexer's claws flexed. Impossible. That relic hasn't spoken in millennia. Yet, even as he said it, the chamber's ambient lighting shifted from blood, red to an eerie blue. The air itself seemed to vibrate as a geometric mass of light coalesced above the holotable, a shifting fractal shape that pulsed like a dying star. The Vorak AI's voice echoed through the chamber, each syllable grinding like continents colliding. You tread where ash still whispers, Zapirian. Vexer's spines bristled, but he stood his ground. Speak plainly, ghost. The AI's form flickered, projecting a fragmented image, an obsidian monolith half, buried in red sand, covered in pulsating glyphs. You mistake silence for weakness. Their deadliest weapons were never in the stars. The image shifted, the Earth's crust splitting open, revealing cavernous vaults brimming with shadows too vast to comprehend. They buried their nightmares under their own soil. As the officers scrambled to obey, the Vorak Eye's final words hummed through the chamber like a death knell. Then wake them, and burn. The war chamber's holographic displays flickered as the last of the tactical reports faded. High Commander Vexazor leaned back in his command throne, the obsidian spikes along his shoulders casting jagged shadows across the star maps. His second, Tactician Krell, hesitated before speaking. "The Vorak have requested audience, Commander." Vex's mandibles twitched in irritation. The ancient machines. What could those relics possibly want? The chamber doors hissed open without warning. A geometric mass of blue light floated inside, its form shifting between perfect shapes. The air hummed with a subsonic vibration that made the younger officers clutch their heads. Zapirian High Command. The Vorak's voice sounded like stone grinding against stone. "You are making a grave error." Vexer stood, his armored boots clanking against the deck. "We've analyzed the human systems. No planetary shields, no fleet worthy of the name. Their strongest weapons are chemical explosives, barely capable of reaching orbit." The Vorak pulsed brighter. "You see only what they allow you to see." Krell stepped forward, his data tablet displaying Earth's fractured political landscape. "With respect, Ancient One, their nation still war over petty borders. They lack unity discipline." A holographic projection erupted from the Vorak's core, a grainy, millennia-old recording. The image showed a battlefield littered with wreckage, unlike anything in modern warfare. Towering machines lay shattered, their designs alien yet disturbingly familiar. Humanoid, but wrong. Too many joints, too many eyes. "The last war," the Vorak intoned. "When the humans purged the Voidborn from this galaxy, they buried their deadliest weapons under their own soil." Vexer snorted. "Fables. If humans had such power, why hide it?" The blue light condensed into a single piercing point. "Because predators always let prey come to them." Silence gripped the chamber. Then laughter erupted from the Zapirian ranks. "You expect us to fear dirt, digging primates?" Vexer crushed the holographic earth in his clawed fist. "We've glassed 100 worlds stronger than theirs." The Vorak's light began to fracture. "Then you will die screaming, like all who came before." Krell's tactical display pinged. "Commander, the fleet reports readiness for jump. The human homeworld lies defenseless." Vexar turned his back on the dying Vorak. "Set course for Sol. Let us see these sleeping giants for ourselves." The Vorak's final words echoed as its core collapsed into sparks. "You mistake silence for weakness." Then it was gone, leaving only the acrid scent of ozone and a single data fragment spinning in the air. A set of coordinates buried deep in the Sahara Desert. Krell reached for it, but the file dissolved into static. Some kind of failsafe. The machine destroyed its own memory core. Vex's Zor didn't bother looking back. Scare tactics. The humans have nothing that can stand against our armada. Outside the viewports, 100 Zapirian warships powered their drives. The Vorak's warning was already forgotten. The Sahara sun burned white, hot overhead as Dr. Lisa Hayes wiped sweat from her brow. Her boots sank into the shifting sand with every step toward the excavation site. The dig team had called it a monolith, but the black structure jutting from the dunes looked more like a knife plunged into the earth by some angry god. "Another day, another mystery," muttered Corporal Diaz, adjusting his sunglasses as he trudged beside her. A dozen unpeacekeepers fanned out around the perimeter, their rifles slung but ready. Lisa crouched near the monolith's base, brushing sand from its surface. Her fingers tingled where they touched the obsidian-like material, not cold, not warm, but humming with something that made her teeth ache. The glyphs carved into it pulsed faintly red, like embers breathing. "Still think this is just a rock?" she called over her shoulder. Captain Ryan Blake of the USN Defiance leaned against a jeep, arms crossed. His uniform was pristine despite the heat, the golden eagle insignia glinting. "Until it shoots lasers, Doc? Yeah." Lisa rolled her eyes and pressed her palm flat against the glyphs. The vibration intensified. A low groan echoed through the sand as the monolith's base shifted. Diaz stumbled back. "Okay, not a rock." Ryan was at her side in 3 strides, sidearm drawn. "What the hell did you just do?" "Nothing." Lisa's breath caught as the glyphs flared brighter. The ground trembled, sand cascaded from the monolith's sides, revealing more of the strange script It is reacting to us to human contact. A holographic star map burst from the monolith's apex, painting the air in shimmering blue. Ryan's jaw tightened as he recognized the constellations. That is Earth, but the coordinates are underground. Lisa finished, tracing the glowing lines with a shaking finger. All of them, every major landmass. The map zoomed in, revealing sections of the planet's crust, deep beneath mountains and ocean floors. Geometric shapes pulsed with the same red light as the glyphs. Ryan's comm crackled. Defiance to ground team. We're reading seismic activity at your location. Advise immediate evac. Lisa didn't move. Their vaults? Say again? Ryan grabbed her arm as the sand beneath them shifted violently. Not tombs, not temples. She wrenched free, pointing at the largest glyph now burning crimson. Armories, and whatever's inside just woke up. The monolith's hum became a shriek. The hologram flickered, replaced by a single line of text in a language that shouldn't exist, yet Lisa understood it instantly. Authorization confirmed. Welcome back, inheritors. Ryan's sidearm was aimed at the monolith now. That is not a relic. Lisa laughed, half hysterical. No, Captain, it is a key. The ground split open with a sound like the sky tearing in half. The Zapirian fleet emerged from warp space in perfect formation, 200 ships blotting out the stars above Earth. Their obsidian hulls shimmered with predatory grace as they took position in high orbit. On the bridge of the dreadnought Final Claw, High Commander Vexazor watched the blue planet rotate beneath him, its scattered city lights like feeble candles against the dark. Beggin with the southern continent, Vexar ordered, his mandibles clicking in anticipation. Let them see what happens to those who defy the Empire. Green plasma gathered in the belly cannons of a dozen battleships, the weapons fired as one, silent in the vacuum but devastating below. Sydney's skyline erupted in towers of fire, glass, and steel melting like wax under a blowtorch. The harbor boiled away in seconds, the opera house collapsing into a crater of molten stone. On the bridge of the United Earth Space Navy cruiser Defiance, Captain Ryan Blake gripped his armrest as the tactical display lit up with destruction. All hands battle stations, he barked. Get me a firing solution on those lead ships. Lieutenant Cho's fingers flew across her console. We've got Atlantica moving to engage, sir. But I know the numbers, Lieutenant, Ryan snapped. The Defiance and her sister ship were state of the art by human standards, fast, agile, armed with railguns and nukes. Against 200 Zapirian warships, they might as well have been throwing rocks. The Atlantica fired first, her missiles streaking toward the enemy formation. The Zapirians didn't even bother evading. Defense lasers flickered, and the warheads detonated harmlessly, 100 kilometers short. Sir, incoming, shouted Ensign Rivera. Ryan barely had time to brace before the Defiance shuddered under the impact. Alarms wailed as something punched clean through their starboard armor. The lights flickered, and the artificial gravity wavered for a terrifying second. Damage report. Direct hit on decks 4 through 7, Cho gasped, her console sparking. We've lost engines 2 and 3, life support failing in. Another impact. The view screen shattered as a boarding pod smashed through the bridge's forward window. Ryan rolled aside as Razor. Sharp shrapnel embedded itself in his command chair. The pod hissed open, revealing 3 Zapirian warriors in segmented black armor, their insectoid faces twisted in cruel amusement as they leveled plasma rifles at the stunned bridge crew. The lead warrior's translator box crackled to life. This is what happens when insects reach for the stars. Ryan wiped blood from his brow, glaring up at the towering alien. You glassed a city full of civilians. Real brave. The Zapirian tilted its head. Your defiance is entertaining. We will keep you alive long enough to watch your world burn. Outside, the Atlantica took a full broadside from 6 Zapirian cruisers. Her hull split open like a ripe fruit, spilling atmosphere and bodies into the void. Ryan's hand crept toward his sidearm. He'd be damned if he died kneeling. Then the planet below began to move. The Zapirian boarding party didn't notice at first, not until their comms erupted with panic chatter, not until the deck plates beneath them started vibrating with something deeper than engine tremors. Ryan grinned. He could feel it too, a hum in the bones of his ship, in the air itself. Something ancient had just woken up. The Defiance shuddered as another plasma volley tore through its starboard armor. Ryan Blake gripped the command console, his knuckles white. Alarms wailed through the smoke-filled bridge. Outside the viewport, the Zapirian fleet burned Sydney to glass, their weapons painting the sky green. "Return fire all batteries," Ryan barked. "Sir, we're down to 3 railguns," Lieutenant Cho reported, coughing. "Shields at 12%. A Zapirian boarding pod slammed into the hull with a metallic scream. Ryan drew his sidearm. "Brace for." The doors exploded inward. 4 Zapirian warriors stormed the bridge, their obsidian armor glistening under emergency lights. The lead alien tilted its head, mandibles clicking in amusement. "This is your flagship. How quaint." Ryan didn't flinch. "Get off my ship." The Zapirian laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "Or what? You'll throw more of your toys at us." On the surface, Lisa Hayes stumbled back as the monolith's glyphs flared crimson. The ground beneath her boots trembled, sand shifted like water, revealing seams of glowing blue light. "Oh no," she whispered. "Oh hell no." The earth split open. A mechanical roar shook the battlefield as something massive clawed its way free. Dust and debris rained down as a titanic hand, 5-fingered, armored in black alloy, slammed onto the desert. The Zapirians boarding the Defiance froze. Their comms erupted in panicked chatter. "What is that?" the boarding captain demanded. Ryan grinned. Blood trickled down his temple. That is your mistake." The Titan rose, standing nearly a kilometer tall. Its hull was pocked with ancient battle scars, its shoulders mounted with cannons the size of skyscrapers. Its single red eye flickered online, scanning the Zapirian fleet. A synthesized voice boomed across every frequency. "Targets identified, engaging." The Titan's arm cannon charged with a whine that made the air vibrate. Then it fired. A beam of pure white energy lanced upward, shearing through 3 Zapirian cruisers in one shot. The explosions lit up the atmosphere like fireworks. Lisa sprinted for cover as more Titans emerged. Dozens of them, each unique, each waking from their slumber beneath Earth's crust. One resembled a winged colossus, its thrusters igniting as it took to the skies. Another unfolded like a spider, its legs digging into the soil as its back. Mounted artillery swiveled toward orbit. On the Defiance, the Zapirians backed away, their confidence shattered. Ryan didn't give them time to regroup. "Now!" he shouted. The ship's damaged systems suddenly flared back to life. Nanites. Tiny machines flowing up from the planet's surface swarmed over the hull, repairing armor, recharging weapons. The Zapirian boarding captain stared in horror as the bulkhead sealed itself behind him. You buried these things?" he rasped. Ryan ejected the spent clip from his pistol and reloaded. "We didn't bury them. We put them to sleep." Outside, the Titans went to work. A mech, the shape of a medieval knight, grabbed a fleeing Zapirian destroyer and squeezed. The ship crumpled like tin foil. Another Titan, sleek and avian, bombed a carrier, its talons ripping the vessel open from bow to stern. Lisa's radio crackled. Ryan's voice came through, half laughing. "Doc, you seeing this?" She watched as a Titan with a cathedral, like hull, stomped past her position, its footfalls shaking the ground. "Yeah," she breathed. "Yeah, I'm seeing it." The Vorax warning echoed in her mind. Do not wake the sleeping giants, too late. The Titans weren't just fighting. They were hunting. Ryan's face appeared on every Zapirian viewscreen, his smile all teeth. "You wanted a fight?" he said. Now you have one. Vexor's flagship banked hard, its engines flaring as it tried to retreat. A Titan with a cannon for an arm took aim. The last thing the High Commander heard was the weapon's charging cycle. Then, silence. The bridge of the USN Defiance flickered with emergency lighting. Half the consoles dead or sparking. Ryan Blake wiped blood from his brow, his fingers trembling not from fear but from the raw energy coursing through the ship. The nanites had done more than repair the hull, they'd upgraded it. Alien symbols glowed across previously blank screens. Systems he didn't recognize humming to life. Lisa's voice crackled through the comms, breathless. Ryan, the monolith's transmitting something. It is not just activating the Titans, it is talking to them. Outside, the sky burned. The Zapirian fleet, moments ago an unstoppable armada, now scrambled like insects under a magnifying glass. City-sized mechs strode through the atmosphere as if wading through shallow water, their weapons carving green fire across the stars. One grasped a fleeing cruiser in colossal hands and squeezed. The ship popped like overripe fruit, spilling molten debris across the ionosphere. Ryan tapped his console, overriding the Zapirians' comm jamming. Every enemy screen would see this. He leaned forward, the camera catching the wild light in his eyes, the grin that wasn't quite human anymore. High Commander Vexor. His voice echoed across the void, amplified by the monolith's ancient tech. You came to our world thinking we were weak, divided prey. On the view screen, Vexor's obsidian face twitched, his 4 eyes narrowing. The bridge of his flagship showed chaos, Zapirian officers scrambling as alarms blared. Ryan stood, the Defiance shuddering as new weapons locked onto targets. You didn't ask why we never left our solar system, why we buried our deadliest weapons instead of using them. Lisa's fingers flew over the monolith's glyphs, the symbols rearranged, forming words in a language older than civilization. Ryan, she whispered, it is a warning. These weapons, they weren't just for war, they were containment. The largest Titan turned its faceless head toward the remaining Zapirian ships. Its chest split open, revealing a core of swirling black energy. Ryan's smile vanished. You woke something up, Vexor. Something even we were afraid of. Static distorted the feed for a heartbeat. When it cleared, his pupils reflected the Titan's awakening weapon, a pinprick of infinite darkness. The Zapirian High Commander finally spoke, his voice stripped of arrogance. What are you? Lisa answered for him, her voice steady now. The caretakers of things that shouldn't exist, the jailers of gods. She touched the monolith. And you just kicked down the prison door. Ryan leaned closer to the camera. So here is your choice, Commander. The Defiance's new weapons hummed, targeting the flagship's engines. Run back to your empire. Tell them what happens when you poke the bear. The Titan's weapon fully charged, stars bent around it. Or stay, Ryan said softly, and learn why the Vorak called us sleeping giants. Vexor's claws dug into his command throne. For the first time in his long, victorious life, he uttered a single word no Zapirian had ever spoken in battle: retreat. Ryan let the transmission linger a second longer, ensuring every alien ship saw the blood on his teeth when he whispered, "Too late." The Titan fired. Space itself tore open. The Zapirian fleet hung in the sky like a swarm of locusts, their weapons glowing green with charged energy. Vexor's flagship, the Dread Maw, loomed over the burning ruins of Sydney, its plasma cannon cycling for another volley. On the cracked tarmac below, Ryan Blake dragged himself from the wreckage of the Defiance, blood dripping from a gash across his forehead. His comm crackled with static. "Captain, we've lost engines. Weapons are offline." Ryan spat dirt, then well fight them on the ground. Above, the Zapirian boarding parties laughed, their armored boots crushing human resistance beneath them. One of them kicked over a broken turret, its barrel still smoking. "Is this all your species has? No wonder the Federation left you to rot?" Then the earth shook. A tremor split the desert horizon. a jagged line of fire racing from the Sahara toward the coast. The Zapirians staggered, their mocking grins fading as the ground beneath them heaved. Something massive was rising. Lisa's voice cut through the chaos over Ryan's calm. "They're awake." The first Titan emerged like a mountain tearing free from the planet's crust, a cathedral of black metal, its hull etched with the same glyphs as the monolith, its single eye burning crimson. The Zapirians opened fire. Plasma bolts splashed harmlessly against its armor. The Titan's fist moved faster than anything that size should. It caught a Zapirian cruiser mid-barrel roll and crushed it like a beer can. Debris rained over the battlefield as the Titan's other arm unfolded into a cannon the size of a skyscraper. The weapon hummed, then fired. A beam of white, hot energy sliced through 3 more ships before they could evade. Ryan grinned. Now that's a gun. On the dread maw, Vexor's claws dug into his command throne. "What in the void is that?" his sensors officer shrieked. "Energy readings off the scale. It's laughing at our shields." The Titan took a step forward, the ground buckling under its weight. Its eye locked onto the dread maw. A voice, ancient and mechanical, boomed across every frequency. "Target acquired." Vexor snarled. "All ships, focus fire. Bring that thing down." The Zapirian fleet obeyed, a storm of green plasma converging on the Titan. The beams struck and did nothing. The Titan's armor absorbed the energy, its eye glowing brighter. Then it fired back. The dread maw's shields failed in an instant. The beam carved through the flagship's hull, melting decks, vaporizing crew. Alarms wailed as the ship listed, its engines sputtering. Ryan's comm crackled again. "Captain, we've got movement on the Defiance." He turned. The Defiance, its hull cracked and burning, was healing. Black tendrils of nanotech crawled over the ship's wounds, welding plates back together, reigniting dead systems. The bridge lights flickered back on. Lisa's voice was breathless. "The Titans aren't just weapons. They're engineers. They're fixing our ships." Ryan sprinted for the Defiance, dodging falling debris. "Then let's give them a hand." On board, the crew staggered to their stations as the ship groaned back to life. The view screen flickered, showing the battlefield. Titans now numbered in the dozens, rising from every continent. One in Asia punched a cruiser out of orbit. Another in Europe caught a fleeing destroyer and ripped it in half like wet paper. Ryan grabbed the comm. "All human forces. This is Captain Blake. The playing field's been evened. Let's show these bastards what happens when they kick a hornet's nest." The Defiance's thrusters roared. The ship, now reinforced with alien alloy, shot toward the dread maw. Vexor's face appeared on screen, his mandibles twitching in rage. "You think this changes anything? The Empire will send thousands more ships." Ryan leaned forward. "Then we'll kill thousands." He punched the throttle. The Defiance rammed the dread maw, its reinforced prow splitting the flagship's belly open. Atmosphere vented in a screaming rush as the 2 ships spun toward the planet. Vexor's last transmission was a snarl. "You've doomed your species. The Empire will." Ryan cut him off. "Welcome to Earth." He fired the Defiance's main cannon point. Blank, the dread maw exploded in a fireball that lit up the sky below. The Titans turned their gaze upward, toward the retreating Zapirian fleet. Their weapons hummed, charging for the final volley. Lisa's voice was quiet. "They're not just defending us, they're hunting." Ryan watched as the Titan's cannons locked onto the fleeing ships. Good. The last Zapirian warship vanished into the swirling blue maw of its jump drive, its hull scorched and bleeding atmosphere. The debris field of its shattered fleet glittered in Earth's orbit like a gruesome necklace. On the bridge of the Defiance, now thrumming with alien hybrid systems, Captain Ryan Blake wiped blood from his brow and let out a breath he'd been holding for hours. "All Zapirian signatures gone," reported Lieutenant Chen, her fingers dancing over holographic displays that hadn't existed yesterday. "Their retreat broadcast is being relayed across every known frequency." encrypted, but they sound terrified. Ryan smirked. Play it. The bridge speakers crackled to life with Vexor's voice, stripped of its usual arrogance. Abort all operations in Sol system. Repeat. Abort. Earth is not a backwater. It is a tomb world. Their weapons. The transmission cut off abruptly. Lisa Hayes stepped onto the bridge, her boots clicking against the new metallic growths that had fused with the ship's original deck plating. Her tablet glowed with fresh data. You should see this, she said, her voice tight. The monolith wasn't the only one. Ryan turned. How many? 12 confirmed on Earth. But the signal didn't stop here. She tapped the screen, and a star map bloomed above them, the solar system dotted with pulsing red markers. Mars, Europa, Titan, Pluto, even out past the Kuiper Belt, they're all waking up. A heavy silence settled over the bridge. Outside the viewports, one of the Titans, a mountain-sized war mech with cathedral spires for shoulders, drifted past, its hull still glowing from battle. It turned its faceless head toward the Defiance as if acknowledging them before vanishing into the dark. God help the next ones who come here, muttered Ensign Rivera. Ryan leaned against the command console, watching the last embers of the battle fade. They won't need God's help. They'll need ours. Lisa scrolled through more data, her fingers trembling slightly. The Vorik weren't warning us. They were warning them. These vaults, they're older than human civilization, older than writing. We didn't build them, we inherited them. From who? Chen asked. Lisa shook her head. No records, just one repeating phrase in the data stream. The architects left, the weapons remained. Ryan exhaled slowly. So we're sitting on a galaxy's worth of doomsday devices, and no instruction manual. A new alert blared across the bridge. The tactical display flickered, then zoomed out, far out beyond the solar system. A cluster of red dots pulsed near Alpha Centauri, then another in Sirius, then dozens more, scattered across the Orion arm like a spreading infection. More monoliths? Rivera asked. Lisa's face paled. No, those are responses. Something just pinged them. Something big. Ryan straightened, his jaw set. Then we'd better get ready. He tapped the comms, his voice carrying across the entire fleet. Human ships, salvaged Zapirian wrecks, and the newly awakened Titans alike. All hands, this is Captain Blake. The Zapirians were just the first. Whatever's coming next won't make the same mistakes. They'll hit harder. They'll bring everything they've got. He paused, glancing at Lisa. Good thing we've got more. Across the solar system, dormant vaults hummed to life. Orbital cannons the size of cities powered up. Ancient eyes, silent for millennia, began running battle simulations. And Earth, small, fragile, unassuming Earth, bared its teeth. Ryan grinned. Let them come.